Blade Runner 2049 is the sequel to the original Blade Runner that came out in 1982. This movie is directed by Denis something, that guy, and it stars Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford. The film follows Agent K, who is a Blade Runner played by Ryan Gosling, who has been put on a case as he tries to solve a great mystery. And as he's trying to solve this mystery, this leads him to go on a quest to search for Rick Deckard. And that's all I really want to reveal about the movie. Now, before I go into any detail about how I felt about this movie, some of you guys may be wondering, have I seen the original Blade Runner? And if I had seen it, then what did I think about it? And for those who are wondering, yes, I did go ahead and watch the original Blade Runner for the very first time in preparation for this movie. And for those who are wondering how I felt about it, I thought the original Blade Runner was good. I thought it was a good movie. Some aspects of it were flat out fantastic, and while I think there were really great things about it, I think I overall would consider it a good movie because I felt like it had a lot of really glaring issues that really brought the film down for me. Again, I think it's a good movie, but I definitely don't think it's the masterpiece that everyone else is calling it. I just thought it was a decent film with some really fantastic elements in it. So as far as the original Blade Runner, I liked it. Blade Runner 2049, on the other hand, was absolutely phenomenal. I loved Blade Runner 2049. Now, as I just said, I want to keep this review rather vague because I went into the movie as blind as I possibly could. I went into it knowing practically nothing about it. All I really knew is that I had the context of the first movie. I knew it starred Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford, and it was about Ryan trying to solve a mystery, and that's pretty much the full extent of everything I knew about the movie going in. And I think that's the best way to go into this movie. I think it's best to go into this movie as blind as you possibly can. To the point where I barely watched a single trailer for the movie. I was being that cautious when approaching the film. So I went into the movie knowing practically nothing. And coming out of it, this may very well be my favourite movie so far this year. First, I'm just gonna say the same thing that everyone else has been saying because I completely agree. This movie is visually stunning. This movie looks absolutely gorgeous. Every single shot is drenched in atmosphere. This movie is rich with color and contrast. It is a beautiful looking movie. It is what I can describe as so dense.
It's so dense. Every single image has so many things going on.
It's so dense. Don't worry guys, I meant that in the best way, don't worry. The film also does a spectacular job at blending CG with its environment. Throughout the entire running time of this movie, I had absolutely no idea what was CG and what wasn't. And when I can't tell what's real and what isn't, that is brilliant filmmaking. This is one of the best looking films I have ever seen in my entire life. The cinematography alone made me glad I saw this movie in cinemas. The film just did this fantastic job at transporting me into this world. The film is incredibly immersive and I was completely absorbed into the story and the atmosphere and the universe that this film sets up. There is not a single movie I've seen so far this year, even in cinemas, that I found anywhere near as immersive as Blade Runner 2049. And the sci-fi aspect was also very well done, with many amazing, gorgeous looking landscapes. But yes, don't worry, there are other things I loved about this movie outside of the visuals. For example, the performances. Ryan Gosling absolutely knocked it out of the park. Now, I'm not familiar with Ryan Gosling as an actor. This is the first movie I've seen him in, so going into the movie, I had no idea who Ryan Gosling was. And Ryan Gosling in this movie has probably got to be my favourite performance so far this year. He was magnificent in this movie. Harrison Ford was also great, but Ryan Gosling really stole the show. This movie also had a great and really compelling story and narrative that was full of twists and turns and surprises that I totally didn't see coming. Overall, it's the main plot that I say that this movie is worth going in knowing practically nothing about it. I was constantly asking myself questions throughout the entire film, and I always want to know what happened next, and this is one of the most unpredictable films I've seen the entire year. Throughout the entire running time of this movie, I had no idea where the movie was going. But there is something about this movie that can be a hindrance to some people. The pacing. The action in this movie is pretty much non-existent. This is definitely not an action movie. And it's a very long film. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes long. It's nearly 3 hours. And it certainly feels like a 3-hour movie. And it moves at a snail's pace. It is a very, very slow movie. In fact, some people complain that the first movie was too slow, and Blade Runner 2049 is even slower. As a result, I think the average moviegoer is going to find the film pretty boring, because it is incredibly slow, and it does take its very merry time to get to where it's going. But I'm personally not going to detract any points from the pacing, because while I can see it bothering other people, it most definitely didn't bother me. At all. It's a very long and a very slow movie, but I was honestly so immersed and absorbed into the film that honestly, I didn't care. The mystery the film sets up, I honestly found so interesting and so compelling that I found myself paying maximum attention for the entire film. There were a couple of points in this movie where I was thinking to myself, okay, yeah, this movie is really slow. But then about a second later, I would instantly think to myself, but you know what? I'm loving this movie. I don't really care if it's going this slow. This film also has a great rewatch value. I feel like this is one of those movies where I can watch it over and over and over and over again and still discover new things about it every single time. So even though this is one of the slowest movies I've ever seen in my life, there wasn't a single moment during the movie where I was ever bored. And the incredibly slow pacing, while I definitely noticed it was really slow, not once did it ever bother me. Not to mention that everything in the movie felt important. Every scene, every shot, every line of dialogue felt like it had an important purpose, and this does not feel like a movie that you could get away with going to the bathroom halfway through. I feel like that if I went to the bathroom halfway through the movie, I would have missed something important. And overall, this was a movie that was made to be seen in the cinemas. I recommend seeing this movie on the biggest screen as possible. If you're anything like me and you have a huge appreciation for filmmaking as an art form, then do not miss this movie. This is a movie that is excellent and it is best experienced on the big screen. And I can't tell you how much of a shame it is that the movie is underperforming at the box office. Because this is my favourite movie so far this year. Which just makes me even more glad that I bought a ticket, because I really want to support this movie. This is the first movie I've seen all year where I can't really think of any problems I have with it. I genuinely have no problems with this movie. Blade Runner 2049 is the best movie I have seen so far this year, and I'm going to give it an A+. It's not for everyone, and there are some average moviegoers that will watch this movie and will be bored stiff. Because it is a very slow movie, and it definitely doesn't rely on action to tell its story. If you're one of those people that just wants a good, fast-paced action movie, you'd better off watching Kingsman: The Golden Circle again. Though, I still think Blade Runner is a better film. If I was given the choice to see one of these two movies again in cinemas, I would probably pick Blade Runner. Well, thank you all for watching. Stay tuned to my next review, whatever it may be. But until then, yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers!